do wrong, or when you do foolish things, meaningless things, senseless things, what happens is you feel the guilt conscience start knowing, chewing, corroding, within your sensories. Because the real you knows that this is wrong, this is not what you're supposed to do. Right? You are exposing me to wrong frequencies now. I am a ray of light, a divine light. You are now exposing me to darkness. Darkness comes with its own energies. So those energies are now corroding the essence of light within me. This is the conversation within yourself. That is why from a conscious level, you need to feel that guilt conscience. Guilt conscience will make you not to sleep at night. Guilt conscience will take away all your peace, all your harmony, all your sense of focus. Because in whatever thing you try to do, there is a loud voice, shouting at you. Remember, as an example, they say, is it Cain in the biblical aspect? After murdering his brother, what happened? He was just walking around. All of a sudden there was a voice, calling on him. It was a voice within himself. It was that guilt conscious saying, where is your brother? What have you done? It was the guilt conscience. It was the divine light in him shouting at the other aspect of himself that he has adopted, that made him do the thing that he did. Out of arrogance, trying to comfort himself, what does Cain say? I'm not his keeper. He was trying to comfort himself. He was trying to justify. He was trying to suppress the feeling within himself. But the feeling will never part with you until you rewire your information body. What is an information body we're talking about? We're talking about you as a spirit, as a soul. You are an information body, an electrical charge, right? Once you start doing wrong things, what happens is you are fracturing, the body of your electrical charge. So once you are fractured, you can no longer effectively manifest what you were, born to manifest. You are bound to lose it, right? It's like when you are having a divided attention, you're having a confusion, you cannot focus on anything. You cannot do anything, and accomplish it successfully. Because there is war in heaven. There is that war in heaven, right? So it's just like the biblical metaphor of who's those people? Adam and Eve. It was the guilt conscience in them that was saying, where are you? Why are we running away? Why are we trying to hide from who, from what? These are metaphors that talk about internal processes of a person. Once they white, they forget themselves. They start doing things that are meaningless, things that are senseless, things that are contrary to their nature. So when guilt conscience start hitting up, some out of ego, they try to suppress that, but you cannot suppress it. They try to run away from it. How? They start getting into alcohol, start getting into drugs, start overdosing everything. Others, when they are feeling this thing, they crave for sugar. They get into coke, like those soft drinks that have contain high sugar. Others they like fatty food. Others they like all this junk food. Now the demon is in control, is in charge, is now commanding you what you must eat because it wants to destroy you. All that junk food that you always crave for when you are in that state of mind, when things are not right within you, what happens? Those cravings are commands of certain infiltration. You've been infiltrated within by another consciousness that wants you now to what? To feed, death into your body, into your bio-spiritual holy temple, so that you can destroy this. Once you get into disintegration, there is no more you. you start living in pain. You can't do anything. There are diseases right now. People, 99% of human beings on this planet, each has an illness that is connected to the food that we eat. Because somebody have told us that, no, this food is the one that is good. Beyond telling us, they have dispossessed us of the land during colonization, push us into barren land where we can no longer do subsistent agriculture. We can no longer sustain ourselves. Beyond that, they even make sure that we even end up not or forgetting about the traditional food that we used to eat, the food that is connected to our DNA, the food that is connected to our genetic structure, right? Because it's the food produced here by the land wherein we are at, nurtured by the environment naturally wherein we are at, because all is connected. We no longer eat those food. We now eat, like as an example, like some of us eat ugali, we say, call it pap. It's ugali in Kiswahili, it's pap, here in Southern Africa, right? That pap or ugali is from maize. Maize is a foreign thing. It's not even healthy. That is why you find people with big bellies now. That thing is foreign. It doesn't belong to us. What does it do to us? It interferes with our bodies, right? So they've made it a point that we become consumers. They train us to forget about agriculture, never to have even a spiritual connection with agriculture, psychological connection with agriculture. We just disconnect ourselves. We are agriculturists naturally. I remember Haile Selassie, the last emperor of Ethiopia, once said, agriculture is a divine command to man. Because when you're doing agriculture, you are actually maintaining the continuity of life of all other beings, be it crops, fruit trees, or animals. So if you're doing animal husbandry, the livestock, you are even helping these things, to be alive and continue being alive. That after harvesting, we store and keep, some seeds for the next agricultural season. So these crops continue to survive eternally beyond time. That is agriculture. For you to make sure that, the spirit of creators is alive in a plant or in an animal, any livestock that you are rearing, that is a divine command. They've made us to disconnect ourselves from that. We are no longer agriculturists. We are now consumers. We eat GMO. What happens of us? They've increased the volume of acid in everything that gets into your body, because we have forgotten ourselves. We have forgotten who we are. We no longer know what is the right thing that we have to do. We are supposed to do. To even an extent of causing and engineering this thing of a gender confusion. There are entities that are playing games with us. They are operating through certain governments that control this world, that manifest willingly they are evil. Tell this, confuse the gender aspect so that we fracture and confuse the divinity of these beings. This is what is happening. Beyond that, there is something new that's coming now. There is a law that's coming that's going to justify pedophilia. What is pedophilia? The molesting or the rape of young kids by the elderly. That's pedophilia. There is a group of people that run this world. And this thing is part of their culture. In their rituals, they do these things. So now, they are in a point where they want to tell your government to make this a law. Just like they've made everything a law. Everything that is contrary to what we have ever been, the essence of our identity as human beings. They put laws to confuse that, oppose that. So there is another law that's coming. They're going to justify it the way they justify it. United Nations will going to be spending funds to make sure that this thing is promoted, just like they've ever done these things. But we'll find ourselves doing these things because of self-forgetfulness. All the wars that you find that we see happening today is because of